They like seeing me, but they would much rather see small business owners face to face. So.
In today's political climate, change in Washington is the only guarantee. And when small businesses aren't plugged in, they pay the price. That's why NSBA keeps you hardwired to what's happening inside DC.
Morning, Jack. How are you today?
Good morning, Molly. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. And thanks for everyone for joining us for this episode of Hardwired, where we keep you hardwired into what's happening with small business policy inside the DC Beltway. It's been kind of a hectic week. Last week, I know we lost a cabinet secretary, but then we also had some pretty festive events. I know the SBA Office of Advocacy was celebrating their 50th anniversary last week. Talk to us a little bit about that, Jack.
Yeah, our friends over at the advocacy office brought in a ton of small businesses from all around the country, really, to have a day of programming and get to know each other and get to hear from small business stakeholders. So we were really pleased about that. We know some of our membership was there. We appreciate them making the trek in.
Yeah, to kind of highlight some of those folks, I know those were our leadership council members who were invited to that exclusive event, and I know they were happy to be there. Also, this past week, one of our leadership council members was quoted in the Times of London in a really great article about the American dream, and so we're just really happy to have our leadership council so engaged and active. Also, this past week, and it's been kind of in the headlines, for a couple of weeks, but we've gotten some good press from the Washington Post talking about the CTA and how it's really a terrible law. And then we also had a great markup on the House side this week. Tell us about that, Jack.
We were very pleased to see that a piece of legislation was advanced as part of a funding package for fiscal year 2027 over in the House. And this particular piece of legislation would essentially put into statute what has been the regulatory posture of FinCEN for a number of months now. And for those of us who don't know, that regulatory posture basically means that the Corporate Transparency Act and its BOI disclosure requirements are currently only being enforced against foreign-owned companies. So essentially what this piece of legislation would do, if enacted and if it becomes signed into law at a later date, is essentially make sure that that regulatory posture is in place in the future so that future administrations wouldn't be able to change it and go back to the CTA enforcement that existed previously.
Yeah, it's a great bill, and we certainly support it. It's a good first step, but for all those Supreme Court justices and clerks listening, we sure would love you to take up the case that we filed against Treasury and issue a final ruling to kill this bad bill once and for all. So fingers crossed on that. Let's talk a little bit about this week coming up, Jack. What's happening on the Hill?
Well, a lot. They've got budget hearings, they've got nomination hearings, all sorts of anxieties and worries over there. Not a ton in the small business space. We're seeing, at the very least, there is a Senate hearing on entrepreneurship, which we're going to want to be keeping an eye on over in the Senate Small Business Committee. But otherwise, I'm really thinking of this week as a chance to sit down with colleagues in various offices and committees across the Hill and strengthen those connections that are the lifeblood of the work we do here over at NSBA. So relatively quiet in small business world, but the wheels never stop turning over.
That's a really great segue, Jack, because I know that we're just coming out with all of our information about Washington presentation. There's going to be a link right up here. And talking about the lifeblood of our organization and really what makes things happen is boots on the ground and getting people up on Capitol Hill. Jack's up there almost every day, but we'd love to have you join us up there. The Washington presentation is September 22nd and 23rd. It's a great event. We schedule meetings for you to go chat with your lawmakers. We have an administration briefing. We do a congressional breakfast. If you haven't been, I really encourage you to consider joining us. Like I said, it's a great event. It's a great way to learn how to lobby. It's a great way to start building those relationships, to cement your lobbying credentials. And so consider joining us. Like I said, it's a great event, and space is always a little bit limited in terms of our hotel room block. So be sure to register early. And anything else for the good of the order, Jack?
Nope. We'd love to see you around for Washington presentation. They like seeing me, but they would much rather see small business owners face to face. So we greatly appreciate your participation in that event, and we hope to see you there.
That's true. And don't take it personal, Jack. We'd all like to see the small business owners. Thanks for joining us as always. Take care.